All right, and we back.
What's going on, good people?
What's up, world? We're back for episode 10 of the Think Music Podcast. And I am Jamal, aka the Gnosis, aka the Word. And got
I'm
my
back.
co-host here.
Dap Dunlap, what's going on? Got a little cold, so my voice might sound funny, but we still rocking.
Right. He on this Jordan Game 6.
Yeah.
You know, science behind hip hop struggle. So we managed to make it anyway. Um, Other than the cold, what's good with you, brother?
Tapped into some creativity last night. My bad. I'm texting my OG the link so he can tap in. Um, yeah, I came in last night. Usually Thursday nights going into Friday. It's kind of like my Friday. Thursday going into Friday is my Thursday night is my Friday night per se because I don't clean on Friday night. So I came in and um had me a little protein drink stash in the one of those little naked protein drink stash in the fridge and pulled that out and came back and like I was telling you, my wife bought me some records. So I'm sitting on a lot of art that she didn't this is like the second round she's bought. So I still got to finish going through the first round. She just bought me another batch, and but then I had some when I was cleaning, I was listening to some Roy Ayers, and
Mm,
I chopped up a couple Roy Ayers joints, bro. Like, yeah, it's going. They all right. So I came in and made 3 beats last night, and and yeah, and I started yawning, and I fell back, but.
mm-hmm.
So other than that, man, tapping back into the creativity. Peace MJ, peace Serious Biz. Trying to get over this cold and you gave me some remedy as you did before. So I still need to go get that. But outside of that, man, just chilling, family's well. Uh yeah, man. So everything at this moment is good.
Yo, that's what's up. What's up, MJ? Thank you much. Serious Biz in the house. Yeah, thank you, good brother. Um, yeah, we here. Everything is everything over here. Um, we got the wifey Nene in the house. What's happening? Um, yeah, good man. I got all four of my kids over together for this weekend. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, my 14-year-old, my oldest, is made her first trip into the library to peruse. You
Mm,
know,
that's always good.
yeah. So that was a good feeling. So encouraging her to look at some psychology books and because
Hmm.
she's talking about all this stuff that she sees on TikTok. You know,
Mm.
Leonard Robinson. All right, cuz
Hey, what's
long
up,
lost
family?
cuz.
Okay,
For
okay.
real, what's happening? Um, yeah, but I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But it's just I was just encouraging her just to instead of being caught up in the social media videos about wokeness and spirituality and conspiracy and all that. I was like, baby, just you know, I really think you need to step back and we need to let's read. If you're curious about stuff, go into the library and read.
Mm-hmm.
versus just getting bombarded with a whole bunch of minutia.
Right.
Um, and I don't want them to become social media scholars.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Watch watched a bunch of crazy ass videos, and it's like you always say, they keep nudging. They're nudging and nudging. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I'm not gonna get lost down there because that's an episode in itself right there. We could
No
um,
doubt. No doubt. Yeah, man. It's good that she has the wherewithal to want to have that understanding. You know, because I noticed that with my kids talking to them the last few times. Like my oldest son is definitely locked in, but he's trying to, he's trying to figure out his way in life, navigating it. And then talking to my youngest son, the last time I talked to him, he was like tapping into some information of,
mhm.
what he sees going on. And, I was just, letting him flow just to see like where he's at. And so that's good that the kids want to tap in. And then us as parents, we can kind of help, you know, send them to certain areas of research as they're finding things on their own. And that'll give them, it'll give them a good base to, begin their research. Because you got to research what's going on out here. Because if you just waking up living, it can be difficult without understanding. So that's a
Yes,
beautiful
sir.
thing, bro. It's beautiful.
Yo, your wife just checked in. What's up, Brianna?
What's going on, wifey? What's going on? My son wanted to watch, uh, so they're watching together before he lays it down. So that's beautiful. I see Nene got her own channel now. I mean, her own. She ain't talking through the husband tonight. She got her own.
Yeah, she official.
Yeah, yeah. So that's dope, Nene. You got your own. What is it? Uh, I forget.
YouTube handle.
Yeah, YouTube handle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot. So
Hey,
that's
hey,
dope.
and thank you for ordering the book. Nene, thank you, thank you.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's dope.
I get that in the mail to you tomorrow.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
Uh,
He said drop link so we can sub. Was that for us?
I think
Or
that's for Nene. I think she's saying is, I don't know, Nene, you got a channel or you just got a YouTube handle? Because the people trying to know, they want to find you.
yeah. And serious
Uh,
biz, thanks for going through the thanks for going on my YouTube page listening to some beats, man. I appreciate that. I'm about to ramp that back up, putting music on my page, so get ready.
yeah, yeah, he on this sniper these days. Once was a time he used to give a brother a heads up, like, hey, G, check your email. Merry Christmas.
Right. There
Now
was
it's just I just so happen to look through my email, like, oh, I got 7 beats here. Okay. All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's so funny because like the ones I created tonight, and I'll probably go back in and finish messing with some because I haven't even went through the records. Man, I got samples everywhere. Like, I got stuff digitally also. So I got these playlists I create called Samples, Yeah, Baby. And when I was listening
Mm,
to the music cleaning, I was adding some stuff over there. So sometimes I'll be adding samples over there, then I forget what I wanted to do with them. And when I go back and listen to them, I'm like, man, what did I hear like 6 months ago that I have this? So with the ones I just did last night, they're fresh in my mind. So it's like three more, and then I'm gonna get into these records. So yeah, you got a barrage that's about to hit you soon, bro.
come on with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Come
yeah,
on with it.
yeah. I got something queued up too, but we'll tap into that later. But yeah, man, good stuff.
So I'm gonna do like the preacher do. You know, the preacher get up, he give you a little bit of small talk. I see. My brother in the cloth, Bishop Edwards, yes, and Sister First Lady Edwards, amen. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And he make all the small talk, you know, like we've been doing. Then he come back and say, "But there is a word from the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
If you have your Bibles, so
Let's get into it.
let's get into it. Let's see here. The science behind the hip hop struggle story.
Mm.
And I'm gonna tell you, man. You know, I kind of get on my Rain Man a little bit. I started taking a few little notes because I have my angle. It's so many angles.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, to approach this from, but I guess why don't you get into what you expressed maybe on the phone the other day, and it's and a few times about the struggle story, and you know, because I want to lay that out, and then maybe if I can, I want to double back and then go into just some motifs, just to kind of flavor the dish, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, uh, the struggle story. Wow, that's heavy. Um, we record. So did you want to? Did you want to start at how we was gonna do it with hip hop, with where everything was aligned, or you wanted to tap into that at later, or did you want to? How did you want to start that?
you talking about the hip hop struggle story?
Yeah, as far as like where was the how was the stars aligned when hip hop came in '73?
Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that. Okay, I think we've talked about maybe hinted at this in another broadcast, but um, it is my theory. That's the word I'm looking for. Theory that the generation, according to this book, generations, that the generation from 1883 to 1900 called the lost generation
Mm-hmm.
is a mirror to the generation that you and I are associated with, and probably many other people on here watching,
Mm-hmm.
the 13th generation, or what's called Generation X. Now, this generation is from 1961 to 1981. Now, according to this book, they label these generations. They they give them a type. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the lost generation, their type is called reactive. Generation X, they label us as reactive. Reactive. So, question we gotta pose is reacting to what? Now that's could be a conglomerate of things. But one thing is that we see is that this lost generation, remember 1883 to 1900,
Yep.
there is something in the mix astrologically between our generation and theirs. Both generations are colored by a Uranus Pluto transit. Okay? Uranus is a planet of rebellion. Okay? It's a planet of freedom, a planet of explosion, and you could say expansions in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto is a planet of raw, unadulterated power. It is the power that causes destruction, but it's so powerful that it can't stop with destruction. It keeps moving until there's a new creation. Pluto is death, burial, and resurrection. Okay?
All right.
These two planets come together in history, whether it's a square, a conjunction, an opposition, you see radical things happen. All right. Now, in and I'm trying to go as fast as I can here. It's just a lot of stuff. Uranus and Pluto opposed each other from 1896 to 1907. Now, if we go back in our history, at this time, and this is during the lost generation era, okay? And at this time, what's going on in the world? We've got Reconstruction. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, if you go to the Michelle Gibson information, she makes it clear, as other of our scholars have already said, Reconstruction was the rewriting of history.
Yes.
Reconstructing a new history.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense that this generation would be lost, because basically they wiped out their past. All right. Our generation comes out of 1960 to 1972, a Pluto Uranus conjunction. Okay. And
60 to 72.
60 to 72. So that conjunction kicked off Generation X. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we also see that during that time span, Ronald Reagan took his first seat in political office as the governor of California in 1966. Now, check this out. Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan always had an astrologer.
Right.
And their astrologer was Joan Quigley. Does that last name Quigley sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it sounds like the books I bought by Carol Quigley.
Carol Quigley.
Yeah, yeah.
Same family, my G.
Yep. This right
Ain't
here.
that something?
This right here.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Same family.
And look what the name of the book is: The Anglo-American Establishment.
That's right.
This thing
That's right.
breaks down how at the beginning it's talking about Cecil Rhodes and how he wanted to start his own secret society and what was the beginnings of that, and then it's going to matriculate on down to the Anglo-American establishment based on what they were doing over in Britain.
That's right. That's right. So during this time, Reagan makes his emergence into politics. Now, this is significant because Reagan would be one of the key figures of our generation, because he takes his first leap into politics in 66. At the same time, Black Panther Party is started, interestingly enough,
Right.
in California, where he's governor.
Yep.
And this same guy would be the president who would come into office and who would set the tone or who would continue the tone that was set by Richard Nixon.
Mm-hmm. And we know
Okay?
what's coming out about what Nixon was doing.
Yeah, war on drugs. He started
Yep.
that terminology, the war on drugs. But he was talking about marijuana and but there was no such thing back then as something called crack cocaine. And when Reagan comes into office, we have the introduction of crack cocaine. Now, what you and I talked about, and then I'm gonna yield the floor for after I've laid the foundation. One more thing,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about the age group that you and I are in, particularly within Generation X, that there's a Uranus in Scorpio placement from 1974 till 1981. And Uranus in Scorpio says the freedom to go into the deepest depths of the mind and to
Mm.
see the ugly.
Yes.
And we talked about how this had an influence on the music
Yeah.
that we are creating. But I just want to lay all that out as just an astrological foundation for the backdrop of, and some of this stuff ain't directly applicable, y'all excuse me, but let's hone in on Reagan and
Mm-hmm.
the introduction of crack cocaine and how it helps to shape the story of the hip hop struggle story.
So now you got hip hop that comes into play August 11th, 1973, which is a year before Scorpio goes into Uranus and brings upon this darkness time. I was born in 75. And what I realized, I was like, yo, like, because we tap into the astrology and using it to see ourselves in a sense and what's going on around us. And I told Joe, I was like, yo, I was like, when he said that, it just hit me because I was like, yo, I used to think about dark things. I'd be in dark places in my mind, right? So I'm like, wow. Then we juxtapose it against hip hop. So hip hop comes in 73, 74. This new wave comes in of darkness. We have in later in the 80s in the same time frame, you have the invention of crack cocaine that comes into the community. Um, you also have people tapping into the music of hip hop. And so it seems like when this came into play, hip hop was the vehicle that was going to be the new voice for it. So you had in the 60s you had Marvin Gaye and you know uh Bob Dylan and all these people talking about the Vietnam War. A lot of artists was talking about the Vietnam War. In the 70s, you kind of had a lull a little bit
Mhm.
because blaxploitation, which saved Hollywood, some may not know, but blaxploitation came in, and the music was more about. It seemed like the 60s had some darkness in it, right? Because we lost Martin, we lost Malcolm, we lost JFK, we lost RFK, and some
Edgar Evers and yeah.
yeah, like it was a lot of death in the 60s. The 70s came and you had disco, you had the more freedom, like everybody was on that freedom kick. and love everybody and live life, and you had a possible decade of that, that would be something for like our parents to talk about more with more clarity. Then you had the 80s kick in. So you had hip hop starting in the mid 70s, but it wasn't what hip hop is now. So then hip hop comes in. But we like, okay, it's new, it's different. But at the time we don't know what it's gonna be used for. My thing is like hip hop is what the 60s were. It's talking about our condition in our neighborhoods. I learned a lot about people through hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it was really amazing because I always had a zest to want to learn and understand. By the time PE drops in '86 and KRS One and all of them, especially like when KRS One switched his style up from Criminal Minded to By Any Means Necessary by '88, I was I'm a hip hop head. I'm locked in. So hip hop began to expose the darkness that was upon us, right? Because you had all these anti-crack anthems and Public Enemy with "Don't Believe the Hype" and all that stuff, and in turn, what you get is explosion, an expose. Because also in the '80s, we find out through Oliver North that they were tapping into. If you go to the Gary Webb information and look at how they were peddling the drugs throughout the country. I remember watching, because it was on, we didn't have cable. And I think even if you had cable, it was on everything that had news when Oliver North was being, he was sitting in front of the Congress talking. And at that time, I didn't really know what was going on. It wasn't until the Gary Webb information that I got like more clarity on what was going on back then, and how they pretty much helped funnel crack cocaine throughout the country, and then was using the receipts from it for black ops, basically. So on one hand, you had President Reagan talking about, say no to drugs, and Nancy Reagan, that was her whole push as the first lady, and this is your mind on drugs and all these commercials. But on the back end, it was the same people pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And with that, you get reactive. You get the reaction from it, And what that was it came through it came through the music. It came through the struggle of the people in our neighborhood and what they were going through. And hip hop was the voice to it. You know what I'm saying? And that was very interesting because we know in the late '80s they nullified the exposure, right? Because in '89 NWA dropped, and they came with the gangster hip hop. And now by '89, I'll say in the mid '80s, they knew hip hop could make money, and they knew this through Run DMC with the Raising Hell album. And maybe Curtis Blow, but Raising Hell really put hip hop on the map because they went like 3 times platinum on that album. And it was also the first time. Now, mind you, Run DMC was using a lot of rock in their music, they early out, especially the King of Rock album. Then their next album was Raising Hell. And then they did that, they did the song with Aerosmith, the Walk This Way song. And they crossed over and they just went out the stratosphere. Then they had to deal with Adidas for $1 million back when nobody was doing sneaker deals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, but when you had all of that going on, shout out to my man James Lee. It's a good family friend. He's in the chat. Peace, James. Thanks for checking in.
What up, James? What's up, Nate?
Yeah, guns and gangs too, James. You're right. And there's a whole crazy story about the guns and the gangs too. Just a sidebar. I remember watching something on the Bloods and the Bloods, and they were like, they found all these guns on a train left in the neighborhood. Like I watched, like they never talked about how to. When I watched this documentary, they never talked about how the gang started. It just it was an inflection point, but they never got to what the basis was. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, if all these dudes is broke, like how they got Uzis and 9mm and like AK-47s and all of that, and these dudes supposed to be have nothing in the in the neighborhood. So you have Run DMC. They seen that it could be profitable, but then when NWA came and it was a little pushback at first, but that's when the music changed. In 89, 90, it got away from the positivity of hip hop and it went more to a darker um to a more darker lane. And with that, you started having groups. You had a lot of West Coast groups come up, Above the Law, MC8, uh, Spice One, and then on the on the East Coast, you still had your Big Daddy Kane's, your Rakims, your EPMDs, new cats coming in. But the record labels kind of went more to what was seen more profitable. I remember DJ Quick. I remember MC Light saying like the reason they was able to do the music they did back in the 80s, late 80s, was because the record labels didn't know what to do with them and they would just let them do what they want. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they didn't really, it was a new genre, like they didn't know how to I guess monetize it in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like it is now. Like today, everybody sound like everybody, but in the 80s, you needed to have a sound. You couldn't sound like another rapper. You couldn't, bite anyone's lyrics and stuff like that. Like it's a little different now. But back then, she was saying how the record labels didn't know what to do with them, so they was able to create art. Like it was, and I think that may be the play on why people were really like, yeah, I'm trying to do the art, because that was a thing at first. But then when it became exposing, then it was like, we don't want the eye turned on to what we don't want seen. And you had guys that was like really researching. You had guys that was tapped into the nation, that was getting information and then bringing it forth. Back then you had Malachi Z. York somewhere running around. You had the 5% Nation, you had the NOI, and then you had, before I knew about these guys, you had the John Henry Clarks and Dr. Ben and all of these guys before I knew about them, but they were permeating around. So you had all this information, and what you wind up getting, in my opinion, is the dark stories of the African American MC. Because when those planets, when the zodiac aligned in that way, that's what it began to show. The struggle of our walk in society. That's what hip hop was the voice of. Chuck D used to say hip hop was the black CNN, because it exposed things and told you what was going on. So yeah, I'll let you add on, and then when something jogs my mind, I'll come back in. But
I want to give a flip side.
Okay.
That I want to go back again to the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
When Kennedy was assassinated, notice he was assassinated in 61, which is right there at the beginning of the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. And after he's gone, Lyndon Johnson comes in. Now, Lyndon Johnson really started what Nixon would finish with his war on drugs, because Lyndon Johnson started a war on poverty. Okay, and here's one thing I wanna say. One of my perspectives is one of my pet peeves is the idea that we are ghetto. That the whole idea of being ghetto is synonymous with being black or Moor, or African American, or Hebrew, whatever you want to call yourself. That it's synonymous with that. Now, what we got to know is that this is Uranus and Pluto. Pluto is about breaking things down. So around the country, especially in the South, I don't know, around the country, this is in the North too, Black people were living in subpar housing, okay? And you had slumlords. And I got pictures back here in my file cabinet from my old man. And these houses, some of them are so bad. And this is how my mom and daddy were living. These houses were leaning, like little shanty huts looking type things.
Yes.
So Johnson came through with his war on poverty and started something called the Great Society. And they had another term, urban renewal. And they start going through and tearing down all of these places, and they start building these apartment buildings. Now, these apartments were considered to be better class living at the time, okay? They were working with the astrology to tear down the old structures and put up something new. But all along, the plan was for these same structures to eventually become dilapidated, run-down homes that we would become known as the projects.
Yep.
Okay? Now, like I said, I have a pet peeve about us being associated with being ghetto, and we clinging to this need to identify as ghetto, and having to tell that aspect of the struggle story every time we tell it. It's always got to be that story. I came from nothing. I came out the mud. I had to get, my daddy got locked up when I was 3, and my uncle got locked up when I was 2, and then I saw my mama shoot a bear. Just the relentless, tragic story. So what I did was I went and looked up the etymology of the word ghetto. And the word ghetto comes from, it's L-E-B, leb. Now, leb is also synonymous with lib, like liberty, and lip, labrum, So it means something that's left over and that's hanging, right? Okay. Let me just, so I can do it justice. Just bear with me. It's loose, hanging, as the lip. It also means life.
All right.
Okay. Other words associated with this root is labor, lapse, lava. Okay, so labrum is part of the labium is part of the woman's sex organ. All right.
Yep.
That is where life comes through the womb.
Right.
If you peep, there's this is how can I put this? The ghetto is the life that keeps this thing going. They need to put a concentration of melanated people in areas and let it become horrid, run down, dilapidated. Uh, and then they come and tear it down, or they run the people out and they refurbish all of the buildings and so forth and bring life back into it, what we call gentrification. What
Mm-hmm.
they're doing is it's a form of magic, because the word ghetto means life. So that dilapidated area is them, actually it's by design, because that is how they extract the life out of the people.
Mm.
And they collect the essence out of the people from their struggle, and they take that, and they, through alchemy, they convert that and use it as the substance that will be used to create their new, man. Well, I see this shit over and over. I just looked up West Dallas, down here in Dallas, West Dallas, man. When you leave from downtown Dallas and you go by Lusteria Jail, you know what I'm saying? The shit was always run down.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's like it's a new world down there now. They got condos and high-rise parking decks and all these lights up everywhere. And it's like, is this West Dallas?
Wow.
And you get to wondering, if they can do that now, why couldn't they have done that 20 years ago? Because they have a clock and they read the cosmic clock. And when it starts to shift, they know now is when we're going to start. We're going to run all the people out. And God only knows where these people go.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
then we're going to take their essence
Mm-hmm.
and use their essence to rebuild it.
And they're using it through the music because now, and they're using the music. They're using us through hip hop because now you got all these kids dressing up and putting women's dresses on, carrying purses. Like it's getting to the point now where we just wide open with it now. It just, where before it was a little more, um, there was some secrecy to it, but now it's just wide open. It's funny because um in Newark, New Jersey, there's a lot of apartment buildings. There's neighborhoods and homes also. And I used to ask my mom about the buildings, and my mom told me, like, because my wife just reminded me of this. She was telling me like those buildings used to have, they were more Caucasians living in those buildings. And then when Newark began to turn a little more urban, I guess a little, when people started migrating from the south up, um, and it's like you said, where do the people go? But they left, and then we started moving to those apartment buildings, and these apartments were nice. I mean, these joints, they had, when my mom said when the Caucasians lived in them, they had the doorman, they had intercom systems and everything. Like, you could talk to somebody at the door in your apartment and buzz them up, and
Mm-hmm.
and then my grandma lived in one when I was real young. She lived in the building, and it was, now she ain't had a doorman and all of that, but the buzzards and all of that was there. But then when you went into the apartment, like, I mean, these apartments were huge, man. Like, they were really nice luxury apartments at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember this particular apartment my grandmother lived in on Harrison. Um, she had a big living room, and I think it was a 3 bedroom. Her and my grandfather had a nice sized bedroom, and my uncle and my aunt, they had, a decent room. The bathroom was huge. The kitchen was decent. You know what I mean? It was just like, wow, this is like a crazy apartment. Like an apartment like that today might run you 1,500-1,600 a month. You know what I'm saying? With everything that was in there. And it's like you said, bro, like they're using the energy, and they're tapped into the astrology when they do these things. So with them, it seems not to be happenstance. It seems to be there's an order, and once you kind of figure it out, you start, like when we start seeing words coming to um when we start seeing language coming to our and what is it like uh not vocabulary, but
Lexicon.
yeah, coming to the lexicon. It's like we was talking today. We was having dinner at my house. And we was talking about predictive programming. How I just seen a video last night on this YouTube channel, and this guy they were talking about coronavirus on Law and Order in 2003.
Oh yeah.
And the lady had a mask on in the hospital. They was talking to her through some plastic, and the dude was like, he had the coronavirus in the trunk, and it was like, and it was from '03. So it was like these people prep you, because we always say like they have to prep you, but they don't have to tell you directly what they're doing. They tell you in a roundabout way, and then all of a sudden it comes online. But now we're starting to pay attention enough to like, oh, why is this word in the lexicon now? Now we got alerts now that you start paying attention to and start seeing like, okay, where is this going? Like I was just telling them about the coronavirus. I'm like, yo, like I didn't get out of, I didn't lose myself with it. I was like, okay, if I'm looking at all this research we look at, and we say these people, we saying the elite, we always say the elite, say who the elite are, then we know this could be a game. So we gotta watch it. And there's always, like you said, yeah, I'm gonna because I'm gonna be proactive. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what y'all doing. So yeah, I'm gonna be proactive, but I'm gonna just sit back and see how the game play. And now we seeing how the game play. Now all of a sudden, they're saying for us June 1st, things will be fully open, but they no more shows should possibly, depending on where this corona thing is at, is like possibly no more social distancing. Things are going to be full capacity, but they still want you to wear a mask. And it's like, so a whole year went through, you didn't really get any you didn't really get any remedy from this. I mean, yeah, I know we got the vaccines and stuff, but you had one of the vaccines that's, in a small portion of people, they say cause blood clots. We don't know anything about the Moderna and the AstraZeneca as of yet. But these people putting things in play, and it's our duty through research to start trying to figure out what they're doing, and then just sit back and see it play out, instead of hopping up and getting real, getting uh getting out of sorts to, just run. I gotta go do this, I gotta go do that. When all you gotta do is just sit back and watch for a little bit, and then they're gonna play their hand. I think sometimes we can give them way more power than they really deserve, because you just have to be observant. That's what the information has taught me over time. Is just you have to be observant, just sit back, and then make your move over time.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think um, one of the things we have to do is be able to see on a panoramically, and so you can see everything going on in front, beside, and behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And everything has been structured to bring us to where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Educational system, economics, entertainment, social development, or lack of, for that matter. Everything has been part of a design.
Mm-hmm.
And we even notice people who might drop some knowledge, they still have to make sure they gotta try to keep their hood card fresh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, And the thing about it is, if you are the oldest on the planet, then that means you are the most studious and erudite people there are at your core. But the irony is that as hip hop comes on the scene,
Mm-hmm.
the struggle that was artificially created that gave birth to the music
Mm-hmm.
also started to shift the nature of the people whom the music was for,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to
Start
where
conforming.
the people started to take on a nature. Although they were already on this trajectory, they started to move at a rapid speed to become the antithesis of what they were at the core, were and are at the core,
Mm-hmm.
to where now we are in this maya of where ignorance is applauded,
Yeah.
where there's
Yep.
an identity crisis. Even people who trying to be woke, look what they're giving you. They giving you a cat whose whole body is tattooed, and he gonna come and tell you how to become a millionaire. Now and now listen. He's playing to the dream you have in your mind of, I came from the hood, I came from nothing, I came from the mud, and look
Mm-hmm.
what I did. That's a template that was created. It's not real. And see, that template can have the people lose their common sense to where you don't even ask for no receipts. You don't ask for no credentials. Hold on. I ain't never seen you at your crib.
Right.
Where's your house? Tell me, how did you get your house? If you got one, how'd you get it? Tell me how you made your money. Tell me how you became qualified to be this thought leader, this influencer who's going to show me how to fix my life. Show me the bank that you walked in looking the way you look, and they gave you $250,000 loan. Show me. But see, because they have so given us this template to follow,
Mm-hmm.
this facade of the hood. And don't get me wrong, I have done my time. This is not no from no look. I ran numbers. I'm from North Carolina. And so I'm gonna say fuck it. Statute of limitations. I'll go and incriminate myself. Before I came to Texas 19 years ago, what really wore me out was running numbers. Do you know how hard it is to run numbers?
I seen
So in
Rohit
North
do it
Carolina,
in Michigan.
we didn't have no lottery back then. Remember, in
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina got the lottery before us. We used to drive down to South Carolina to play the lottery. We didn't have it. So what we did is we played the number racket off of WGN in Chicago. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Everybody go to their TV to watch allegedly. There we go. Yeah, MJ. You go and watch WGN to see how the numbers gonna drop. I learned the numbers game from hanging in liquor holes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hanging in some of the liquor holes was in the projects. Some of them was in somebody's house. So look, then that's just what I'm gonna say here on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm only saying that to say, I'm not saying this from the standpoint of, this ain't no Michael Eric Clark Dyson shit or no Cornell West. Like, you know, I came to Texas because I was fucking tired.
Mm-hmm.
I ran my ass. I was tired. You know, what I'm trying to say is at this point in life, and sitting back and what did you say earlier? This path, this information teaches you how to observe
Yes.
and see the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hold on, something ain't jiving right. Somebody, I'm gonna yield the floor, and I'm gonna come back later because I did some investigative work. I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing this for about 6 years, of who created this idea of ghetto that's been superimposed on us. And then you got to go back and see who are the original ghetto boys. I'm
Mm.
gonna stop right there. I will come back to that.
Well, I think with so the whole thing with the struggle and being, put in these situations, and then when you get the art, I was talking to my cousin. Sometime when I'm out cleaning, I go into my bag of, listening to classic hip hop, or what we consider classic hip hop. And I listened to Mobb Deep's second album, The Infamous. Listen, every song from top to bottom was dark. I mean,
Death,
it wasn't one positive song on that album. It was death, it was being set up, it was murder. And I was like, yo. So I called my cousin, we around the same age, and we listen to the same, music. We both do production and all of that stuff. So I text him. I'm like, bro, I'm listening to this Mobb Deep album. I said, yo, this joint's dark. I said this is depressing music. Now in 95, I'm 20 years old. I'm listening to it, and I'm just like, yo, like this is crazy. Like, and I'm really enthralled with the beats, because I grew to start hating hearing that type of music. You know what I'm saying? Because it felt like you said this one day about an artist always saying the N word, you know, and you was like, yo, he just seemed like he's saying it just to say it, like he's more intelligent than that, but he want to just try to play down to
yeah,
who he's talking to, so he want to act like he seem like he down, and just instead of tapping into what you are. Like, if you smart, be smart.
that's
And I
right.
think that's what it is, bro. I think Ghetto has created people that just do it because they just think they have to do it. So when you see all these dudes sagging their pants, bro, like I walked outside of my car one day, and I seen this dude, and I'm like, yo, like why are you really sagging for real? Like why really do you have your belt under your butt cheeks, bro? Like what's the real reason you dressing like that? Now, mind you, I used to sag, never like that though. Like
Nah,
it was
never.
never crazy. You know what I'm
And the
saying?
shit wasn't tight neither.
Yeah, we wasn't wearing no tight. We was wearing baggy clothes, back in our era, and so our bagginess made it. You could have your pants, like if you a size 36 and you wearing some 40s because you on your baggy, like you gonna look like you sagging, even if your pants is like, what I'm saying, up on your waist, because your pockets is gonna, like, you got pants on that's too big for you. So we was doing the baggy look, and yes, I did sag a little bit, but never like crazy. Like I never had my butt cheeks out, bro. Like there was
Nah,
never, like we wasn't going that route. But then it was like my cousins a little bit younger than me, they had to walk bow legged to keep their pants up. Like they didn't have no belt on. So it was like you said. So what was the nudging to create that narrative of ghetto? And then what happens is when you there, you don't have fight in you. So now you just buy into it. You know what I'm saying? And then we know what programming do in your household. Like if like depending on what your household is, like it's just what it is. Like you don't think it's nothing different until you go somewhere else and see like there can be some difference. But in your neighborhood, you just start buying it. Like I had to tell my sons one day, like my son was like, yo, I'm ghetto. I'm like, no, you not. Like what? Like why you think my oldest son told me that one time? He was probably like 17. Like yo, I'm like no, you're not. Like you don't have to take that on. Like what people don't understand is when you take on energy,
Come
that
on.
permeates through you. You don't have to take that energy on. Like now, I'm like, listen, I don't even listen to a lot of stuff I used to listen to because I can't do the energy of it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I listen to the Mob Deep, because of where I'm at in my life, it's like, this movie, this music's depressing, and this and so what I come to realize is if you and you always hear people say this, bro, but if you don't put it into practice, it's kind of hard. So to understand it until you put it in practice. But yo, all of that, try to think clear and clear your mind and like that stuff really work if you really put some effort behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Like changing your surroundings and all of that stuff, like it really works, man. If you really like if you able to do it, you know. That's why it's like if you struggling and you got an OG or old head or someone that could come shoot something to you, shoot some wisdom to you, give you some books to read, yo, if you tap into that and you doing it from a real place, like you gonna get some change, bro. And that's the things that they don't tell you. They don't tell you those things. They just make your situation look so dire to where you don't feel like all you feel like you could do is hustle or scam or because you want what you see in society, right? Because we live in a
Come
capitalistic
on.
society. So like you're being pulled in so many ways, but you're not you haven't found your straight line yet. You know what I'm saying? You haven't found your way of like how can I navigate this through the information, through what you know what I'm saying? And then some people get it. Sometimes you bump your head a few times and you get it, and then and then you start to make a change for yourself. But ultimately, man, it's like if you're growing up in the quote unquote hood, everything that come with that is gonna permeate through you if you don't have the wherewithal to know like this is it's a setup. You know what I'm saying? It's a setup.
That's real. It's a setup. I want to, if I might, I want to read a little bit. We're gonna document now.
Let's get
Um,
into it.
what's that?
I said, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's document. Um, medieval callings. Okay.
Mm,
All right. So, um, this book is
I like that,
talking
man.
about medieval life. Medieval would be the Middle Ages. That's called middle because it's from the time of the collapse of the Roman Empire um, till the Renaissance. And what's really going on at this time is that um, the Moors
Mm-hmm.
are cleaning up Europe, and
Bringing them out of the
they're
dark ages. Bringing them out of the dark ages, right?
yeah they're infusing civilization, okay, and civility. All right, I want to just read some things, some of the descriptions, and I want to see if this rings true when you think of what we think of as ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
The mass of the city population appears to have lived in family cells of restricted size and households of low density. The urban family, whoa, 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 Jack. Did they say urban?
Urban. Mm.
Urban? The urban family was smaller than the rural family, and its very structure made it fragile, at least among the middle and lower strata of society. Here's another passage. The urban family thus seems to have been more flexible, more fragile, and less durable than the rural family. Here's in another section. Thus, the city, by its economy, its environment, and its ethic, was destructive of family ties among the masses. Epidemics struck hard. Solidarity was stretched to the limit. Moral dangers lay in wait. The authority of the head of the family was in danger. Come on now. This shit.
That sounds like when they brought the welfare system in and told the woman the man couldn't be in the house.
Come on, man. Come on. This shit sound mad familiar. The
Mm-hmm.
city dweller, often without ancestors and lacking wealth, could count little on his friends of the flesh. This structural weakness was not only due to the number of men without name or family, but to the very nature of urban wealth. It rested on money. Man, look at here. Document. Let's document on them now.
Let's go.
Uh, let's see. There is little need to accumulate examples. In Florence, Venice, Paris, Lille, Dijon, Avignon, Tours, and Fars, the judicial archives reveal an impressive series of cold-blooded vendettas, of shawled melees between individuals or groups settled with knives or iron-tipped sticks, and of rapes, often collective, that marked for life poor girls beaten and dragged from their rooms at night. Whoa. Come on, can I keep going?
Of course.
However, read. However, this is another section. Civic violence, executions, torture, forcing the criminal to run through the city streets as the crowd jeered and struck him, was offered as a spectacle, and the domestic moral code allowed blows. Justice, what is more, did not inspire belief. It was more dreaded than appreciated, and it was inefficient and costly. They talk about how the inefficient way of trying to deal with levy justice. Okay, let me see here. One. Excuse me. One. Y'all bear with me because this is important.
Mm-hmm.
This is talking about in Venice. Now, Venice, you got to understand, Venice is in close proximity to the Vatican.
Yep.
This is in Italy, Venice. After 1350, constraints began to relax. The wearing of distinctive signs became discreet or totally disappeared. And above all, municipal governments institutionalized prostitution. About 1400 in Venice and Florence, a bit later in French cities, the authorities concluded prostitution among their civil values and made it an instrument of public well-being. And they acted with the assent of the clergy. Look, look here.
Now that was what 500 years ago. You said that was in the 15s.
Going back to some of this stuff goes back to the 1200s.
So Serious Biz says something in the comments. He said they planned it that way from way back. Me and Jamal always have these talks of like, yo, can they use the past to, can you read all of these things and try to bring it into the future? That's what that make me. His comment made me think of that. Well, would you gonna go back in?
Man, it's so much. I tell you what. I just
Using
want to read
the old for the future, man. That's crazy. Yep.
And I'm gonna make my quick point about why one of the reasons I'm reading this.
And they keep, and while you do that, I'll just say, and so with these secret societies or these orders or whatever, they keep these same thoughts moving through time. They bring people in to continue the thought to bring it to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. This book is called Bound for America. Bound for America. Now, it's a book that talks about um, the Transportation Act of 1718. What
Mm-hmm.
leads up to it? Why it came about? Transportation Act is where criminals are sent over to America on these 14-year bids from Europe. Okay.
All right.
So it says gang life reflected not a mature underclass, but a nascent criminal subculture. Membership remained fluid, and the lives of thieves frequently intersected with those of more respectable citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, criminal gangs shared an increasingly distinct existence, personified most sharply, perhaps, by their everyday use of cant, the so-called language of thieves. Containing a rich and varied vocabulary, cant was a special body of street slang employed chiefly for the purpose of secrecy. Its term suggests a well-defined jargon as well as a division of labor common within gangs, ranging from millikins, which is burglars, vulcans for picklock experts, to knowing fellows, highwaymen, scouts and spies, and faders, those who forged documents. So
That's
some
like
of this
something Bob
stuff,
was doing.
huh?
Wasn't the mafia using government officials to help them in their nefarious ways?
Right. Some of the point of reading this stuff is to level the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
With because growing up, it's been suggested that you can't speak proper English.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, you're dumb. You're a criminal. You've got to prove to me that you're not the urban nightmare that I know you to be.
just
So
it's already just put on you.
it's already put on you. This shows here that there's slang language that's used for criminal activity. You can't pin this on me.
Right.
And so what I'm trying to get at is that, and this is not to be said as a means of condemning a people,
Mm-hmm.
but it shows that they someone already had record of how this shit works. And they came over here, and that's why they called them the projects, because they said we're going to take the reality from there and superimpose it onto another people, and we're going to give them a new identity.
Yeah.
And they are the projects. The people are the projects.
Yep. Let's work our magic on them unbeknownst to them. Because when you come over here, no one knows what you're doing over in England. No one knows what's going on over there if you over. Well, I'm just generally speaking. If we got our customs of what we're doing over here, and then you come, and then you're dropping those prisoners off, they're coming with that mindset of over there, and then you're gonna have the clash as you had over here of people trying to, bring forth that doctrine, that European doctrine versus what the natives was here doing already. And it was a clash. I was just looking at something on Wikipedia about I was looking up I lived in the city called Pontiac, and Chief Pontiac was a dude that was fighting Europeans. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of battles going on that's not talked about. They talk about the major ones, but there was a lot of back and forth going on here, man. When the Europeans came in, it wasn't peaceful as they try to make it. But that's the whole fight with this information, and why you got to really go digging yourself, because you'll start the puzzle will start coming together. For one, if you want understanding, like if you just want what you was taught and then have your opinion on that and kind of base your arguments or you know perspectives off that, that's one thing. That, like, okay, but now when you start grabbing some books, getting into some history and building and it's like, okay, I want to understand. Now you getting pieces to the puzzle and you start putting the picture together. It's not even about putting it together. For me, it's about putting together for understanding, because we've already been programmed until we're nothing. So now it's like I tell people, when I had to research me, it brought me to other people. And then I got to see other people that, you telling me I'm this, but I see you doing that. I seen you have a hierarchy. I seen you starve your own people. I seen you rape and pillage your own people. You know
Your
what I mean?
own.
Yeah, your own people. And then you try to juxtapose that on me and make it look like I'm the one that's just my culture, and then someone else's culture has always been on the up and up. So they tell you that through the movies, right? You watch Pride and Prejudice and Mademoiselle and all these movies from back. They only go back so far. They never bring out a movie talking about what it was like during the plague, and they never go back and talk about how the Moors turned them on to basically being civilized in a way. Like, they always just give you a story from where they was just already on top, and they've been in control for centuries. And but no, when you start reading books and because we was talking today, we have an innate, I think, and I'm just speaking personally, I think we have an innate longing for wanting to understand what goes on around us. And you got some people that want to dig in, and you got some people that's like, well, he's a scholar and he's a professor, so why would he lie to me? You got those guys. So you got the people that they just believe what someone else say. But for me, it's like, no, I've been told I'm this. I know I gotta be more. I know I have to be more than starting at slavery. It gotta be something before slavery. Like, it just can't be we started at slavery. Like, we was doing something before that. And then that's when you start going back and peeling back the onion, then all these other doors begin to open. And you're like, oh, now I see. Now I get it. Now you start understanding um what laws are, what certain laws are meant, and all these Magna Cartas and all like all these different treaties and all of that. Like, people were coming over here uh still taking land from people because they said they had something from the Pope, the papal bull. Like,
Right.
how you gonna come over here and tell me this paperwork tell you can take my land and you're not
Right.
even from my land? And then
Right.
you ask yourself, then why did the people here even buy into it? You know what I'm saying? And I know we got to be careful with putting our 2021 mind on the mindset of a people from 400 or 500 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But that's kind of how you want to look at it. Like, man, like what? Like, why didn't they just? And they were fighting, but then it became overbearing. And I think too, the natives weren't all they was they was fighting amongst themselves too. So it's like it wasn't really um they weren't really all together to say let's ban and then fight this new element that's coming in. You know what I'm saying? There were a lot of pockets, So, um, but what I see, what to me, what it seems happened is, like you said, they begin to juxtapose certain things on people, and then over time, but like from programming, we know belief happens. So that's what happened. You've been programmed, and then you just then you just wake up and be like, son, it's always gonna be hard for you. And it's just like, damn, like it's always gonna be hard for me. Like, yeah, you just gonna struggle all your life. And you like, now hold on. I don't see, like, why ain't they over here struggling? Like, why we gotta struggle? And that begins that light that makes you say, hold on, I gotta figure something out. If you had the wherewithal to do it.
Mm-hmm. One thing that is dying out that you don't hear much about is self-esteem.
It's
And
only now, man.
when we talk of what self-esteem has been replaced with is egotism.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two different things. The ego, and if I can just tap back into a little astrology, the ego is not bad, it's necessary. The ego is mostly associated with the first house, and it's the personality, but the personality is a mixture of your moon and your sun go into the first house of your ego or rising sign. But that's not the mask you wear is not your esteem. The word esteem means fire. So that talks about what's at the core of you.
Mm.
So the lack of self-esteem is that what has happened is that through trickery, the fire has been temporarily extinguished and a mask has been placed over the face of the people, and they're acting under the behest of the mask and not knowing that all they need is a little match.
That's it.
And there's a wick already inside of them. Wick, vicar, Christ, fire already inside of them. And all they got to do is light it.
Yes, tap in.
And start running to chase this persona that has been created. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the only way to just even know you got that fire is to have the open-mindedness to just want to, like you touched on earlier, just to be curious. So as that passage to say, to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must become as a child. Well, what's a child? A child is curious. And so one thing that has happened, and curiosity is a pathway to intelligence. It's a necessity to intelligence, and it is synonymous with intelligence. You got to be curious to know. You know what I'm saying? And so curiosity is being shut down. Productive curiosity, to where people aren't on a quest to learn.
Yep.
I'm in the bar. I told you that I was in the barbershop the other day, yesterday, and I make the egregious error of start talking about this damn astrology with somebody I know I shouldn't have brought it up to. You know how I know I shouldn't have brought it up? Because she's sitting up in like my barber got it's these suites. And so in his, everybody got their own little private suite, got their own little door and everything. She's sitting up there looking like a motherfucking show clown. Her mask was so tight on her face. Like when your baby You don't want them to piss out the side of their diaper, and you put that mug on tight as hell, that diaper.
You
That's how
take it
that.
off, that indentation be in their thighs.
Oh
You
man,
wrap that thing tight.
like man, if somebody see this, they call CPS on my ass. Just cut
No
off
doubt.
this baby's circulation. I should have known any fool that's sitting up there wearing their shit that tight. But here I go. I go and she goes to tell me, you know, because she's saying that how we don't like getting therapy and we don't like working out our issues. I'm like, oh, she said, even though she's looking like a fool with this mask, maybe she's got a little sense here. And I go bring this up about ain't nobody got time to be trying to figure out what no moon and no sun and what no. I said, oh, so you don't ain't got time to figure out yourself. I said, you're the greatest story in the universe. And you ain't got time to, that's the way you take it. I was like, oh man, oh, my dumb ass. I let my own ego get the best of me. I want to
Right.
just, you know what I'm saying? I should have just sat there and kept my mouth shut. Shouldn't even brought that shit up. But I don't even know why did I even.
But then she had the curiosity.
Yes. After I You're right. After I backed down and didn't give her the fight that she was expecting, I said, you right. You right. I should have not even you right. I should have not even approached you with that. And I go to talk about something else with the barber 3 minutes later. So what makes you get into this?
Yeah, curiosity.
Yeah.
Yep. Because
You know,
not to cut your wisdom, but what she said, what bugged me out was she was going with the trope of, black people don't want to do therapy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we got all of these things that they say we don't want to do, that we speak in general terms so much that now it becomes law, and we don't know. Like, we don't know. Like as one of your mans would say, where's the UNESCO information at to tell me this ain't so? You know what I'm saying?
the
Like,
Hebrews.
yeah, like like where's you getting this? Like, where's your numbers at? Like, how are we quantifying this to say, like, no one does therapy, no one does this? A lot of people I think a lot of people get their stuff from comedians, what comedians say, because it's stuff to make you laugh. Black people do this, black people do that. And I think you start taking that now, yeah, because some stuff can you see in your, like, see in your area or whatever, or see in your family or something, yes. But like, to just say that's law, like, that's crazy. And I think that's what happens. Like nobody know what, like, one black person can't tell you nothing about every black person. Now, what we can tell you is this: we've been put, like, I lived in 3 different states coming up, right? Now, what I can tell you is I seen the same thing in those 3 different states. That becomes the question. How can I be in Michigan, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania and see the same thing in the neighborhood? How can I see, how can I see in sometimes poor living conditions? They always say the schooling isn't the greatest. So how is this in 3 different places? One place cool, but I go here and I go there. How can these things be? So that's the real question. The question isn't that this is just what we are and this is just how we live. The question is, because we didn't put ourselves in these positions. We were only allotted certain things to get into. Then you go there and then you try to make it work. We're the king of making it work. We're the king of grinding. We the king of having 2, 3 jobs and try to make it work. You know what I'm saying? We latchkey, and I'm not saying nobody else peoples has done this, right? I'm not saying no Europeans or no Spanish people or nobody else has done this. What I'm saying is I know for sure that we've done it, and I've been around other people that's done it. You know what I'm saying? I know. We know what it's like to be a latchkey kid. You know what I'm saying, bro? Come on, let's just tap in for a minute. My mom had to go to work, bro. Right? My mom got off at 5:00. Me and my brother, we get out of school at 3:00. Right? I'm in junior high. I'm 6th grade with a key to the house. and taking orders. Come right home. Listen, bro, you walking home from school, and don't get me wrong, like, you know, your mom just had the trust that you had the mental capability to do what she needed you, or your dad or whatever had to, I had to walk home from school with my brother. My mom left us money at home. We had to go walk down the street to the block to get some whatever, before she came home to make dinner. You know what I'm saying? I'm like 11, 12 years old, bro, with my little brother. He 5 years younger than me. You know what I'm saying? And my mom at work.
Mm.
My mom had a system set up. Like, yo, she get in. She knew we got home from. She knew where to listen. My mom was a beast. She's like, okay, the school right here. It should take you 10 minutes to walk from school to the crib. I'm calling the house at 3:30. Answer the phone. Boom, we answer the phone. Y'all cool? Y'all good? Okay, money right here. Shoot to the store. Go get y'all something to eat. Come right back home. Come right back home. You know what I'm saying? Call me back at work to let me know y'all home, so I know y'all back in the house, right? And then, me and my brother, we go get something to eat. We walk back, call her, mom, we back home. We got something to eat. What y'all get to eat? All that stuff. Hang up the phone. I see y'all, and then she come home and help with homework, cook dinner, and all that stuff. But bro, like, we had to navigate the streets at like 11, 12. The streets.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I was living in East Orange, New Jersey, B, during the crack era. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Like, listen, like, I'm on Central Ave, like, cats out there pitching. Like I told you this story the other day, cats out there pitching. You know what I'm saying? Yo, listen, we out there on the block, and now me and my brother, we ain't out there hanging, but I'm talking about just in the midst of going to a pizza shop or a Chinese restaurant or Roy Rogers or whatever, we gonna get something to eat. Cops come raid the block.
Mm.
Broad daylight. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things we had to navigate, bro, in our neighborhoods. And your parents had to have the wherewithal to think you had the mental capability to do these things. It was a blessing, bro. Like, it was. I don't know what was covering us. God, the blessing is nothing ever happened to me and my brother in these scenarios. You know what I'm saying? But all I'm saying is, it's like, how can this be in every state I lived in? You know what I'm saying? How can these conditions be in every state? How can it be hustlers? Like, how can I see the same hustler with a different name in every state getting money? So that becomes the question, bro. Like, how is our neighborhood like this? Those are the questions we need to ask, not just settle in that this is us. You know what I mean? This is just our environment, and we got to navigate it. Nah. You know what I'm saying? What put us there? Once you start answering that question, then you start getting some, you'll get some answers because they there.
I also think, along with that, we have to ask what keeps us where we at. And I want to go back to um,
That's funny, Brianna.
um, the barbershop. And
Mm-hmm.
when the lady was talking about you said we take on these tropes or
Yeah.
these mantras.
Yep.
We don't do this and we don't do that. We don't support each other. We don't. Here's the thing, and I'm just gonna dovetail into the music. It's that people make these statements all the time, and often you come and speak something that is a practical remedy, but it's not what they're looking for, and they dismiss it.
Mm-hmm.
There's that old story about the man was looking for God, and he kept walking up and down the road looking for God, and every day he would see this prostitute. And I can't remember how it goes, but some kind of way the prostitute, he frustrated. I can't find God, and the prostitute said, "I've been out here every day. You just kept walking past." You know what I'm saying? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like when you come up, the people keep saying, we got to figure out. I don't know what's wrong. We don't. And then you come, well, maybe you should try out I found some remedy. Ain't nobody got time to be. Look, motherfucker, you just said you was looking for a remedy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, same thing with the music.
Mm-hmm.
We need to bring that real hip hop back. Da, 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 da. Then when somebody come with some shit that's original, fresh, organic, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
They spend all their time trying to categorize it. Oh, them drums sound like Pete Rock drums. Oh, that's just some you know what I'm saying? Oh, he trying to you sound like Andre 3000. It's and not to downgrade the conversation, but what I'm trying to show it applies across the board in
Mm-hmm.
every aspect of life. People a lot of times just like talking about shit, but they really ain't trying to
That's what it is.
break the barrier and
Yep.
experience what they say they want.
Yep. That's what it is. And then you got to ask your, and then it comes back to why. It comes back to why. Why are you sitting in that room with that, with that thought, you know? Because I think no, 2/3 ain't gonna make it.
Two
You know
thirds.
what I'm saying? And that's just unless that's just real. Is they and a lot of people say this and such, but knowledge it knowledge only plays a part to me when something happens. Somebody want to start hearing something. When nothing's going on and you just living your life every day, humdrum, you cool. Then when something goes on, then you want information and this needs to stop and all of these different things. And bro, there's just no one tapping in like that. I mean, I'm not gonna say no one tapping in like that, but generally speaking, it's like you said, no, it just comes up here and there. But only a few people really want it. And the few people that really want it is evident because you see them making moves towards it. So it comes back to all the guys that sagging. Like you don't even know why you sagging. A lot of cats don't even. A lot of cats don't know why they doing what they doing.
Just doing it.
You
Just
know,
doing it.
you ask them, they don't know why. This is just the hood, bruh. That's the answer. And when that becomes the answer, then you got a little more journey to go on
Right.
for your
Right.
personal self. Personally. You know what I mean? We all got a journey. Like we all reach a crossroads of what's going on in our life, and either you make a change or you keep going down and see what going down that road brings you. I chose to go another route. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody, we all human. Ain't nobody better than nobody. Everybody's an individual. Everybody living life. But within that, if you're tired of what's going on with yourself, then you got to do the work yourself. Everything come back to self. Like if I'm not, we talk about this all the time. Like if we ain't in a good place, then my household's not in a good place. My relationship's not in a good place. So
Come
I
on.
always have to be working on self to be in a good place. So things around me are good.
That's
And
right.
that's what some people don't I feel like some people don't get that. And then sometimes your programming will not allow you to accept information. You know what I'm saying? Your programming could throw out your learning, you know. But whatever you programmed into, if you're not getting remedy from that, then it's okay to reprogram yourself and go find something else.
Yeah.
And you dealing with a society that has you marked. So you got to figure out the algorithm. You know what I mean? You have to figure out the algorithm for yourself. Or if you see somebody doing something that, that's positive and different from what you're doing, you got to go tap in. and say, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" Or, "Hey, young lady or whatever, what are you doing to get this benefit?" And then be willing to bring something new into your program, and then work that.
That's right.
So, my thing is this, bro. If I'm going to be, uh, I was telling my man James tonight, I'm like, bro, like I'm locked in. I'm locked into what I'm doing, and it's for me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And if I could come through, if somebody see what I'm doing, especially people that know you, and you know, you see somebody that haven't seen you since you were 16, 17 years old. Now they see you in 40 plus, and they're looking at you through their perception of you. And so whatever their perception of you is, and if it's good, they may say, "Hey man, what you doing, man? You looking healthy, this and that." Then you get to go into what you doing, and not to say they're gonna take take what I'm doing and add it to them, but it's just sharing your walk, sharing your story, and it may trigger something in them if they're not in a good place. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. But
And you never know who's watching you.
yeah, yeah. My mom used to always tell me that.
You
Yep.
know, and people ain't always going on what you say. They're going on a lot of what they observe. You know, and sometimes it's just the way you're looking. Like my man look healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Man he looks content. He looks to be at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Not oh he got oh damn he poloed down. It's like no he looks to be content with himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, and the whole concept of an aura is very weird, is very real. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and our aura supersedes us. You know, it greets the room before we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one thing about our generation too is we got like Neptune and Sagittarius, and it'll be in different houses in your chart. Um, but if you think about Neptune as the planet of going beyond the boundaries of me and seeking to become one with all. And then Sagittarius says there's the symbol for Sagittarius as the arrow is a great clue to what Sagittarius. It's long ranging, it's broad, it's far, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so our generation with this Neptune and Sagittarius placement, naturally our auras are projecting wide and far. And so we can try to pretend and fake, but or we can try to hide and be, and just like, uh, not want to be noticed, but you are gonna be noticed because the energy field that you carrying is very very noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now for me, I got that in my first house.
I gotta use the bathroom real quick.
Okay, I got Neptune and Sagittarius in my first house. And many times going places, I find myself trying not to be seen. When I go let's say, okay, I got the kids, I got the babies, and I got to do some work on the computer. I try to park somewhere in a parking lot while I'm on my Wi-Fi, where there's nobody around me, and it's always somebody seems to come right there where I'm at, or you know, because I don't like people in my personal space. So yeah, I'm in the gym, and it's usually really, really bother me. It don't bother me as much as it used to. You try to go and find some little corner in the gym where nobody's at, so you can not feel so claustrophobic. 2 minutes later, five motherfuckers around you, circling around you like sharks. And before I started studying astrology, it really, really, really used to bug me. And now I understand. You know, it's like when you got your light on and them June bugs be running on them kamikaze missions, they just run it right into the light. They can't help it. Bzz, bzz, so our energy fields speak for us, you know. Um, I know that was a little tangent right there. Um, but it's just, just made me think about that when you're saying like sharing your story, because I know you're not as forthcoming, but I think people can experience peace when they're around certain people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but it's all interesting though, man.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The dark side of the world has shown us some light
Mm,
and what that can be. Um, yeah, man. It's very interesting. Very interesting. So, yeah, man, that was a good build, man.
yeah, man. Yeah. I don't know if you got anything else you want to add, or
Nah, I think that's a bow on it.
yeah, yeah. It's very respectable hour here too. This is uh this is unheard of right here. Um,
Yeah, man, my throat is dumb scratchy and yeah. I
well,
don't
a
know.
couple of quick commercials before we get out of here. You see the
Oh
banner
boy.
running on the bottom of the screen.
Mm.
You are invited to go over to thinkmusic.bandcamp.com and show your love and show your support. um, you're also invited to go to what's your Bandcamp, Dap?
My Bandcamp is the same dapdunlap.bandcamp.com. I have a bunch of instrumental albums over there. You could check that out. Yeah, appreciate the support if you like. And got 2 projects in the can and they'll be dropping momentarily. I don't know. I just been in a little, like I was telling Jamal, I made some music last night, 3 beats, and yeah, I don't know. Like those projects are done and everything, but I'm just waiting for the right time to drop them. I'm kind of just, when I drop them, that'll be the right moment. I don't even have a moment in my first. I was like I was gonna do it the second week of April, but I'm gonna just drop them when they get dropped. I don't have no date or nothing. Um, so yeah, right now, man, I don't know. Right now, I feel like I'm in a little lull, but I think when I come out of it, it's just gonna enhance the art because I was going in for a minute making beats, and I think I'm just taking a break. So when I come back, it's just gonna be even crazier. Like the music's just gonna, you know. Rakim said he never get writer's block because he stop and live life. I think you could do that as and I don't have beat block. Like it's not that, but I think you just live a little bit and listen, and then come back to your art with a whole new perspective, and then you'll hear it in the music. You know what I'm saying? My whole beat career is progression. If you listen from the first beat I dropped in 17 to what I'm doing now, you'll see a progression. So, um, so yeah, that's what I got. Um, and next week I really want to start getting back on my channel. So I have a YouTube channel also, Dap Dunlap Music YouTube channel. And next week I want to get back into doing my lives and making beats live on, you know, over the air. So if y'all want to tap in with me over there, you could do that. Dap Dunlap Music on YouTube. Subscribe to the page, and next week I'm gonna start tapping in with some lives. That has been on me to do it, so so I'm gonna do that. And I got a lot of records to go through, so we'll be making a lot of beats.
Right on, right on.
My man James,
Um,
we love the astronomy. He said astronomy is deep and really appreciate the insight, guys. Thanks, James. We're gonna bring
right
you
on.
on too. I was telling Jamal about you, so I think me, you, and him will have a great conversation on religion and all of those type of stuff. And he's been telling me about Gospel in the Stars. Um, to check that out. That's on YouTube, right, James? So I'll check
Yeah,
that out. And yeah, but I would love to bring him on. He's very insightful. He got a lot of information. And yeah, I think it'll be dope.
bet with it.
Oh yeah, we got Morris Legacy on our new EP is on the Bandcamp too. Check that out.
Right.
Yo, Serious Biz, was today record store day? I forgot all about that. I thought it was on Saturday. Man, I wanted to get something too. I wanted to get the J Dilla. This dude named Miguel Atwood Ferguson did a orchestra version of J Dilla beats, and I have it digitally, but it's on vinyl. Um, yeah, I was hoping record store day was yesterday, but unless he's talking about something else. But my bad, bro.
No, you good. Um, yeah. Well, I invite everybody to first of all, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. We'll get all that good stuff out the way. Um, and just on some channel announcements, I have made some changes to the Patreon. Got a $5 Patreon now available, and you can go on and talk to Dap. He told me one day about somebody had their Patreon set up where people can just go and contribute what they can afford. And I decided to go back and restructure mine to make it more affordable. Um, I didn't have the option just to let it be whatever you want to pay, so I set it at $5, something manageable. And what I want to do is go on there and those of you who are interested in learning more about astrology, if you can't, it's not in the budget to get a reading at the moment, we can go on there and just I'm going to start uploading information on astrology and just different things. Hell, it might even be stuff on fitness.
Yeah.
And it's just everything. That's the thing I had to learn is I can't pin myself down to just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
My chart, the shit's all over the place in my chart. So when I try to just figure out how I'm gonna cut out everything else and just do one thing, it's depressing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to choose between, I'm gonna do astrology, or I gotta do music, or I'm gonna talk about the etymology, or I'm gonna research the mythology, or I'm gonna this and that. Or I'm gonna write books. If I had to just choose one, it would be a dismal life for me. So on Patreon, it might be
Likewise,
anything.
bro.
You know what I'm
Likewise.
saying? Yeah.
I don't even know what to do without pulling. Like, listen, I told you this story 100 times, but my pops was like, read everything.
Yeah. Read
And then
everything.
reading everything, I never found my straight line except for like doing music and all of that. But my
Right.
pops was like, read everything. So I
Right.
just started, and I've been on that since he said it.
Yeah. 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 Because you're gonna need everything. If there ever was a time where everything is right now.
Yeah. I
You know what I'm
think this is
saying?
the culmination of that. Yes.
It
And I think
is.
we got a lot of people waking up too. Like, to be honest with you, like, as I
Yeah.
know we can get in the dismal bag and be in the negative bag, but as much as the internet is running around, or not running around, but readily accessible for people, for most people, there's a lot of information at your fingertips if you have the wherewithal to just listen. I told Jamal I'll be going on Wikipedia dives. I'll go on the Wikipedia deep dive for 4 hours. I'll start off at one thing, and then they got the hyperlinks within it. You click on where it's lit up blue. You click on that. Especially if I'm reading something that might come in about some religion I never heard. I click on that, get to reading that, then scroll down, see something else I never seen. Click on. Next thing I know, I'm like 7 pages deep on Wikipedia. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding a line somewhere that's like, yo, like what I found out with the Jews, who the Jews is really worshiping. I can't think of that guy's name, but I know it came from the Middle East. And I was just like, yo, at least it was a perspective. And I was like kind of blown away.
Mm.
Finding out Duncan Hines he wasn't even a baker or anything. Like that's not it's just information that you in the public you just assume somebody's something and they're not. Like Colonel Sanders never owned Kentucky Fried Chicken, was a part of it. He just sold them the seasoning recipe to season the chicken. But in going into his information, I found out where the first Eastern Star Masonry school was,
Mm.
or not the first school, but their first um what do they call their joints? Um, their building or whatever, you know. But going digging through that information, it was just like funny. So shit, go on a Wikipedia deep dive one day, and I'm telling you, it'll bring you something. And I think they tell us what you can't trust that information because it's publicly put on there. But I think that's part of a scam too. Like
Well,
somebody that created something to you got to be careful and vet it. But
right.
I think somebody can tell you some things to keep you away from something too.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, it's no matter what information, like you, the key word was vetting it. So you
Mm-hmm.
should always look to go and look for at least two or three more sources on any topic, so that you can properly vet,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to. One thing about Wikipedia, they give references.
Exactly.
They
And
give
them
you a whole host of references.
Yep.
Now, if you're lazy,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying, then that's on you.
Yep.
Um, um,
And start off, I'll tell you how to start off on Wikipedia. Look your state up. Just go look where you live at. Look either your state or your city up and then hyperlink from there. and that's going to take you all over. This like, and I'm saying like, click on something you don't know while you scrolling, and it's going. I'm telling you, that's how I found out. I was reading something on man, I forgot how I started, but I wind up finding out that they built this particular highway going up through Virginia to West Virginia that goes alongside an old Indian trail. Which in my mind, then I started thinking, and then it was like, yo, the Indians had all type of trails on this landmass at a particular time. What if the highway system is based on their trails?
Mm.
So, not to say that's true or whatever, but it just made me think. Because this particular highway was for sure, because they was like, the trail is still there. And it follows the highway. So, or the highway follows the trail. And then, starts going all over the place. But yeah. But that was that I got that from a deep dive. So sometimes I'll just go on Wikipedia, type in like what I've been doing was like typing in where my dad was from. He's from Tennessee. Typing in, some stuff about NC. Or I'm like so when I'm listening to a podcast with a musician, and if I'm at home, I'll go on Wikipedia and pull up music they're talking about, stuff like that, and then I'll go down a music rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just read some stuff on like how Polygram Records started because I was listening to Questlove Supreme, and he had Roy Ayers on, and Roy Ayers was signed to Polydor. And I looked it up, and it's a company that was started in Germany, and it was a joint company with some Germans and some English people. And then when the war started, the Germans, they broke it off from the English people, and then it just went down a whole road. And you'll find out that there's a lot of things interconnected. And I'll give y'all one more website before we get out of here. And I think I told you this one too, Jamal. Fundingtheuniverse.com. Funding, FUNDING, theuniverse.com. They got businesses on there from A to Z. You click on the A's, you probably going to see 200 businesses. And they got the history of these businesses on this website. That's another rabbit hole you can go down. I did that for Foot Locker and Adidas. That's how, because I'm an Adidas guy, I like Adidas. And I found out the whole Adidas story. Adi Dasser was German. His brother, him and his brother, they dad had a plant, not for sneakers. They took it over, started making sneakers. The brother went to go, he went with the Third Reich. And when he did that, him and Adi Dasser had a little riff. After the war, the brother comes back and create Puma.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a real story because I've seen it on that website, but then I've seen it other places also. So, but yeah, that's just one way to, like, that you can simply just do on your phone. You know what I mean? Have some paper around you, maybe take some notes or whatever. I'm a terrible note taker, but when I'm reading stuff, I just be bringing it, like. But at this point, I need to start writing stuff down because I feel like, not that my memory's slipping, but it's hard for me to retain information when I come across, especially when I go down a deep rabbit hole like that. I need to write it down so I could when I tell somebody, it could be thorough, when I tell the story or whatever again. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
And to add on to that, buy books.
Mm-hmm.
Buy books, because information can disappear online. And it can be altered. Get books as well.
Yeah.
So if they give references, consider going to Amazon and buying the actual books that are referenced.
Mm-hmm.
Books are valuable.
Yep. And sometime on Amazon, they'll tell you the books that they bought in tandem with the one you're buying.
Right.
Other people bought these. That's how I bought the Carol Quigley joints. I went to go buy Tragedy and Hope, and they was like, and they buy this bundle. I was like, well, just let me get all three of these then. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
started reading the Anglo-American Establishment one, and it's like, man, it's slow reading, but it's good.
In this era where everything's going digital, things that are tangible are going to increase in value
Yes.
exponentially.
Yep.
Um, we're in Taurus season, okay? And these planets are going to move through fast, but Uranus is going to still be around for a couple more years. And Taurus is about tangible things of value.
Mm-hmm.
What's guarded, what's regarded is guarded. What's valued is guarded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you can put your hands on tangible assets, whether it be some silver, some land, or books, and all of the above,
Mm-hmm.
it is advantageous to do so
Yep.
because a library 10 years from now might be worth $1 million because it's scarcity. For
Yep.
one, people are going to be less inclined to want to read. Books will be more scarce, they'll be harder to find. And beyond just what their value, the value that they hold as far as the information in them, not to say, oh, this is the definite, this is it,
Mm-hmm.
but to say, oh, here's another perspective for me to consider,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to keep my synapses firing in my brain, because right now everything in the world is set up to shut down um, the mind, you know, and for people not to really be able to think. So, um,
And real quick, Google started digitizing books. It may be about 5 years, 6 years ago now, maybe longer than that, where they started digitizing books. So when we get to the point where, don't want to, do the, like my wife, said, we ain't gonna bring this into existence. But, if things hit the fan and there's another book burning spree or whatever they do, is all information is going to be digitized, and only a handful of people going to be is only going to be available to a handful of people. So that's another reason you want to get lock these books in, get you a little library and um and study that way too, because if things go left, they're gonna be books, but it's gonna result to what it was before, where only certain people had the information. We're talking about that tonight with the church, where only the um the pastors or whatever knew how to read, and they just gave the congregation what they wanted to give them. Like nobody was all reading together. So yeah, they digitizing everything.
yeah. Um, yeah. Hey, if you want to get a reading, go over mastersofthecosmos.com. Um, I'm gonna start posting some of these reviews, and that's all I got.
Yes, That's it, man.
I think it was a great conversation. I appreciate everybody stepping in. I don't I don't think I can go back all the way. Yeah, I can't go back to see who all, but just thank you everybody. Let's do that. Thank
Yes.
you everybody for tuning in. Um, Nene put the icing on the cake. She said, "Buy books."
Yes.
And thank you, Nene and Serious Biz, for y'all support. I'll be um I'll be heading to the post office tomorrow to send your book. And on that note, anything else, brother?
That's it, man. Like I said, just check the music out. We got the new EP Moorish Legacy out on the Bandcamp. You see on the banner. If you want to support, do that. And we constantly working on music, and we'll have more of that coming forth. And yeah, be easy.
And think music.
Mm.
Peace.
Peace.